Hey, Blaine Smith welcoming you to Overkill Unearthed, the show where we look back at some of our favorite records that we haven't gotten to review because, we weren't reviewing things then, or, YouTube didn't exist then, or we were 6 or whatever. As always, we've got a Patreon you can support us on if you like this content. We've got a YouTube you can just subscribe to. You can like the video, you can comment. You can live your life. Just try and live your life with us together as a team. In this episode, I'll be reviewing the middle child of a very famous death metal band. That's right, it's Death's Human, released October 22nd, 1991, for those of you keeping score at home by Relativity Records. So, Human marks the middle point of Death's career in that there are 3 albums before it and 3 albums after it, but it also marks the middle of their career stylistically, with a bit of a shift starting to happen, but their foot planted firmly in both worlds. This album sees Chuck joined by bassist Steve DiGiorgio, Paul Masvidal on guitars, and Sean Reinert on drums, who unfortunately passed away at the start of this year. One of the interesting things about Death as a band is there's no real solid consensus about what their best album is. It's almost more what you think the best album of Death's is says something about you more than the album itself. It could pretty much be a BuzzFeed quiz. Human's interesting because it's actually also Death's best-selling album. It's celebrated critically and is marked as a pivotal moment in the history of progressive and technical death metal. But a lot of times those pivotal albums don't age well. So let's see if the old gray mare ain't what she used to be, shall we? Man, all you really need to do, though, is press play on Human to know that you're getting something really special. And the intro to Flattening of Emotions, just the build-up it gets me so hyped every time. Sean's, Tom's, causing the album to feel like it's literally just charging at you. And then, you have a guitar going over it that isn't going that fast, but between the drums and DiGiorgio just going ham on bass underneath, it really creates this building pressure so that when the album finally kicks in, it really kicks in. I'm getting excited. So yeah, Flattening Emotions is a great song, and you're like, sweet, more death, this is what I wanted, and Suicide Machine continues that, probably has the best riff on the album, I'd say, and it's more of the kind of death you love. There's little sprinklings to let you know things are going to change, but mostly, we're at first 2 tracks, they're saying, hey, here's the death you like, here's what you get, and you're like, cool. But the album's really impeccably structured because they kind of tease you along and they start unfurling what Death's becoming, and it really causes the album to fly by. It's their shortest album, but it's also just feels the shortest because it's just really enjoyable wall to wall. Lack of comprehension is the first kind of sign that things are gonna get really different, though, with the intro to the track being almost kind of like a floating euphoric sensation, but again, it's used similar to the start of the album to kind of bring you up so that when the song does kick in, it again just comes in really, really hard, allowing them to have that progressive new element without you feeling like, oh man, Death's gone soft. The album's also a notable milestone for Death because it's the first time they've taken a crack at an instrumental song. It comes second to last because, again, impeccably structured album. It's not some throwaway forgetting track. It's a cool drift through space with some intensity and some weird alien sounds, which is funny considering it paves the way really well for tech death because all tech death dudes are space perverts nowadays. But yeah, it really sets the stage for Vacant Planets, which is kind of a culmination of all the old ideas and new ideas that have really come together on this album. It has the brutality and intensity, but it really also showcases that technical precision that's really starting to come to the fore, and the kind of just a little bit experimental wankery that they're also starting to do, which is sweet. Again, just, man, what a cool album. And then the album just ends. It just ends, which is, again, just great. It's just a cliff. It's just like, we're going to an album, done. And you're like, oh, God damn it, I gotta listen to it again. And you put it on, and you can put it on. The musicianship here is really something special, and I think this is kind of the reason I would say it is the best Death album, because it's kind of the perfect fusion, the rare ability to combine technicality with listenability. It doesn't really matter if you understand what Chuck and Masvidal are doing when they're dueling solos on Flattening of Emotion. It just sounds sick that they're dueling solos. It doesn't matter if you understand the time signature that Sean's awesome tom work is coming in at, because again, it just sounds really good. And oh yeah, there's bass, and it's doing something besides playing what the guitar is playing, but lower. You don't need to know what it's doing, you're just like, hey cool, another thing is happening. The sort of old meets new Death is present in the lyrics as well. It really infects the whole album. Well, you still get some of the kind of, horror-y gore that Death is famous for at this point. It's starting to be a little more introspective, a little bigger picture. While you can compare a song like Suicide Machine to Pull the Plug Off Leprosy, Pull the Plug is about someone wanting, to just pull the plug. Whereas Suicide Machine has, when it comes to living, no one seems to care, but when it comes to wanting out, those with power will be there. And, this is going from someone just being like, I want to die, to a much larger societal focus. And I find it causes the album to really hold up well, because as much as the shock and gore is fun, it doesn't age as well, because, Fucked with a Knife is less shocking after you've seen glassass.com. Don't type that in if you've never seen it. Where you have a song like Lack of Comprehension, which can easily be interpreted to be about the Judas Priest subliminal message trials that happened the year before, but it could easily be interpreted to be about the West Memphis 3, which happened 3 years after the album was released. Kind of going more to this bigger picture stuff adds a real timeless quality to the album, and it's the reason I'm talking about it now. But not every album is perfect. The drums and the bass are way too low in the mix. Oh, but hey, in 2011, when Relapse went to re-release the record, they found out that Sony apparently lost the tapes, and they had to do a remaster where they raised the level of the drums and bass, and they also included all kinds of wacky stuff like, hey, here's the instrumental tracks, hey, here's studio rehearsals, here's demos. You can't hear the drum and bass? Here's just the drum and bass. So yeah, I guess it's perfect now. The cover art's not great. So this is an album that serves as both an important historical relic in the history of death metal, but also just a really listenable, enjoyable record to this day. It got a little facelift a couple of years ago, and that's all it needed. There's nothing more to say. There's no right answer to what the best Death album is, but it's human. I will fight you. And that's why it gets 5 out of 5 skulls from the cover. That's right there. I'm gonna take it. Cool, that's done.